Hey guys, and welcome to another video. This one is going to be a fairly quick one about why you should play this game with a controller. Now, Undecember is a ARPG, and in the history of ARPGs, controller has always been bad. I'm someone who has played Diablo 1 on a PlayStation 1, and it was a nightmare to do. And every time I have played an ARPG with a controller up until now, it has been worse than its controller or than its mouse and keyboard counterpart. And obviously this comes down to opinion, but as someone who has done both in this game, controller is vastly better. Anyways, let's get into this thing. Okay, why should you use a controller? Let's talk about some of the good stuff, some of the bad stuff, and overall why I think you should use it. Now, if you're playing on mobile, there is absolutely no reason for you to not get a mount and use a controller. It's much better than the touch screen. It holds better in your hands, etc., etc. There's absolutely no reason. Now, on PC, though, why would you ever use controller? Mouse works perfectly fine. There's a lot of reasons that I made the switch to controller, and I will never look back. Controller, in my opinion, just blows mouse and keyboard out of the water. The only time I use mouse and keyboard is in town when I'm doing like crafting or enchanting or inventory management, because there is no real support for that in terms of controller. But outside of that, in combat, controller is, in my opinion, much better. Now, why is it better? I'm going to go into a map here and move around. So you have, I feel, much more control over your character. You can move more smoothly. There's never going to be a misclick where you click and your character goes somewhere weird. It's always going to go exactly where you want. And when it comes to doing bosses that have telegraphed attacks, big red areas where you don't want to be, moving is, in my opinion, better. And because you're on a controller, movement skills are smoother to use. Now, this is all whatever. Where it comes, the big difference comes for me is, one, you never lose track of your mouse. When combat gets really crazy, I don't care how good of a gamer you are, there has been a point when you've been playing when some insane shit's going down, and you go, I don't know where the fuck my mouse went. If you're some super ultra mega Chad gamer, good for you if you've never lost your mouse in an ARPG, but the rest of us have. The other thing for me is how ARPGs get played, especially at the high end. So you're going to want to be moving very fast. Okay, so on mouse and keyboard here, I'm moving. Okay, I gotta stop and attack. Move, and stop and attack. Move, stop and attack. Move, stop and attack. On controller, you do a thing called stutter stepping. So for the thing that makes this possible is the, what is it called? Smart control. So whatever skill you have on your far right of your bar, you can toggle on and off smart control. And smart control will just attack the closest enemy. With it off, you move around normally. With it on, anytime you are stopped, you will attack the enemy. So there's two ways, depending on how you want to play it, to make controller work really smoothly. So one is learning how to stutter step. So having auto target on, okay, smart control, and just learning how to tippy tap around. Just little tips, little taps. Every time you're in a group, you can keep moving while attacking. This is really, really nice if you're trying to kite a big enemy. If you don't know what kiting it is, it means that an enemy is chasing you and you're keeping distance so they can't hit you, but you're still attacking. So these little stutter steps become really, really effective. The other way is to turn off smart control and just use the attack button and keep running and just tap. Every time you tap, your character will stop and attack. Personally, I prefer not having to sit there and 5,000 million times a map. I'm already moving, that thumb's already doing stuff, and that frees up my other hand to do whatever other skills. It makes mapping really, really smooth in terms of you don't have to worry about where your positioning is. You just move, and it's great, in my opinion. you have access to everything that is important on the controller. Your skills are all on your buttons, okay? And you can switch which bar you are on, okay? For the new rune cast system, you can not toggle, what is it? You can set buttons to make sure that you have them on the controller as well. If you need to turn them on and off. I have my extras set on my numpad. That's how I do it, because they're all toggles anyway. All of your potions are on your D-pad, and switching between potions is easy. I feel like having to use the keyboard is constant, like, aim at an, especially if you're ranged, is move, aim at an enemy, click the button, move, click it, but move, click the button, move, click the button, move, click the button. And instead of using a very short little tappy thing, you're constantly doing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with your wrist. If you're someone who plays for extended periods of time, your wrist is going to get tired, fatigued, you get a wrist injury. Again, if you're some mega Chad who's like, I never do that, then maybe controller doesn't matter to you. But for everybody else, the controller, in my opinion, is so much better, and it's simply because of the little stutter step. And again, if you don't like stutter stepping, you can turn off smart control and just move and just tap the button when you see enemies. It's just as easy if you like it that way. Outside of that, the other things that are faster, in my opinion, being able to open a portal at any given time just by pressing down on the left analog stick, okay, and holding the right... I can't do it in a map that I've already done this. If you hold the right trigger and push down on the left stick, it'll open a portal to the boss, and you won't have to worry about coming over here. Also, I have set up on my thing a button for Purifying Ancient Being, or whatever new thing comes out that you need to activate. Even just activating things on the ground, you can just run by them and hit the button to the activate button, which is the down on the right analog stick, to pick stuff up, or not pick stuff up, to activate things, portals, chests, whatever event is by. In my opinion, it's so much better. And the reason I made this video is because people don't realize that controller is good, so they don't try it. Obviously, it's totally up to you, but this is something I wanted to bring up. I'm sure people are going to yell at me in the comments that controller sucks and that they play with mouse and keyboard fine and they don't have any issues. And that's fine. I'm not trying to tell everybody to use it. I'm trying everybody to try it. It is incredibly straightforward. There's just plug and play. I have tried it with like half a dozen different controllers. I'm using a PS5 controller. I've tried it with a PS4. I've tried it with a random USB from way back when Radio Shack still existed. I tried it with a knockoff PS4 and a regular PS4, and I've had no problems. I know other people have had Xbox controllers of varying sorts, and they work fine. It works wireless, it works wired. I prefer wired. But I've never had any issues with it, other than the beginning of Season 2, where there was a bug where nobody could use controllers, and we were forced to use mouse and keyboard for like 2 weeks, and it was hell. Obviously, again, maybe controller's not for you if you don't like it. Maybe you're just not familiar with it. But for people that aren't familiar with it, Boog, who lives here, was playing mouse and keyboard, who had never played on a controller of any sort, and she plays on controller now because it's better. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. A long, rambling video of give controller a shot. It's good. Yeah. Okay, bye.